your coffee?
I do. This
Welcome to Real Estate Coffee Talk. Cheers, Ivan.
welcome. Cheers. Cheers.
So don't judge my McDonald's coffee. I've already had my Bustelo. Do you know that I am a
Okay.
Bustelo? I am like the
McDonald's is
Bustelo.
selling Bustelo. I love it.
No, no, that was at 5:30. Then my kid's school, it's like, they have the dollar special. So I drink my coffee so early that by the time I'm done with school drop off, I need another one. So this is my
It's
ghetto coffee of the day. But
especially on a Monday. I got you.
yes,
I got you.
exactly. But I know, Latinos will look at me with side eye for my McDonald's
Hey,
coffees.
I gotta give it to you. If you're putting Bustelo into McDonald's, it means that you care about the Latino culture and you want to implement it everywhere. So I love it. I
They
love it.
should. I'm like a Bustelo spokeswoman. Anytime anyone posts like or sees anything with Bustelo on Facebook, whatever, everyone tags me. I'm like, this. They need to hire me one day.
They do.
Um. All right. So Ivan, welcome so much to the show. I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, but to introduce him, like almost everyone I meet these days, I met you on Instagram. I don't even know how we connected, probably out in our app or videos or something like that. But tell us more about yourself and kind of what you do.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. And as the saying goes, at least here in South Florida, if it's not on the gram, it didn't happen. So,
Exactly. Oh,
I'm a national instructor for products and programs for Anywhere Real Estate. They're the parent company of brands like Coldwell Banker, Century 21, ERA Real Estate, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, Corcoran, and Sotheby's International Realty. So we have a wide array of real estate professionals that we represent. And what I focus on is technology. Technology is really my passion. And along my journey, at first it was just, okay, great. It's technology, pushing buttons. It makes life easier. But there gets to a point where there is so much technology that you may be like, what do I do now? Like all this technology, like, what do I do now? And it happens more often than not. So the thing that nowadays is a big passion for me is just demystifying that technology. And that's where that whole saying of going back to the basics comes, that I know we've heard all the time. But there's
yeah.
some things that I personally have found of going back to the basics that is helping with the training that I deliver and that I share with other real estate professionals with the use of technology. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's
That
gonna be
is
fun.
that's such a cool job. I'm a little bit jealous. So what does it look like? Do you travel around to like different offices, or what does your like day-to-day kind of look like?
And so I do office trainings, and I live in Zoom world sometimes. I go to conferences. So a little bit of everything, and it keeps it diverse. I'm just happy that because of COVID, we can now be more present in people's lives through virtual means. I have to tell
Yeah.
you, that was the game changer, COVID, with Zoom. And like right now, you and I are having a podcast because of the technology that
Right.
came because of that.
Yeah.
But
It kind of
still,
forced people into that world. I think some people that may have been super opposed to it. Like it
mhm.
was crazy I started working from home back in like 2008 or something like that. Before Zoom didn't even exist. Before it was a thing, and it was like a little bit, everyone was like hating on me, and it's crazy now how it's just so widely. Now there's people like, yeah, no, I'm not going back into an office. It's not happening.
and
So
and that's what tells us about our business. I mean, our business isn't just always brick and mortar. It's out on the field,
yeah,
walking the boots, as the saying
yeah,
goes. And it just
yeah,
makes it diverse for me as well. And and this is the other thing. I have to be in person as well, because there's some individuals that just learn better in person. There's some
right,
individuals that like the convenience. So that's just
yeah,
important to keep in mind, especially as far as training that is being offered, to have a nice
right,
mix.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So how did you get into this industry? Have you always been in the real estate industry where you're doing something techy and then kind of landed here? Like, what was your journey to where you are now?
Yeah, my journey started in 2016, so coming into 8 years, and it's 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 ironic the way that it started, because if you would have told me in 2015, hey, the year after you're going to be working in something related to real estate, I'm like, what is real estate?
Right.
That's how naive I was of the whole process. But I moved to Fort Lauderdale. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and I moved to Fort Lauderdale when I got married. And my
Yeah.
wife at the time and I, we said, "Hey, let's move to the place where we vacation." And we would just always go to Fort Lauderdale to vacation. So
Right.
we moved to Fort Lauderdale, left everything, which was, we were young and wild, and let's just leave everything. And I couldn't find work for like a good month, and I
Oh,
started getting
really?
desperate. And
Oh my
an
God.
opportunity came to work doing tech support for a major real estate technology company. And I've always been good with computers, so that started the journey. But as I went along the way, aside from providing support, then I had an opportunity to work at the local realtor association. And I think that's
Okay.
kind of where my passion for training got going, because yes, I started at the Realtor Association doing support, but I found myself using tools like, I don't know if you recall Team Viewer. I
Sorry.
before oh,
Oh,
you need more cafecito?
sorry. Okay. You know what happened when you're talking to someone? I didn't want to choke while you were talking, so I tried to hold it in, and then the choke just got bigger. Okay.
Have some cafecito. Have some cafe. That's always good. That's a good cough suppressant. It's the remedy for
Really,
all ailments.
for everything. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Team viewer. Yes.
So
Go.
Team Viewer. So Team Viewer, before Zoom, I would just get on a phone call with a real estate agent, and they wouldn't understand the process. I'm like, here, let me send you the Team Viewer and give me access to your computer. Okay, great. So you're going to do it for me. I'm like, no, I don't. If I do it for you, then it's just going to be not just easy, but you're going to
Right.
be dependent on someone to do it for you. So let me show you how to do it. And that's where the whole thing for training started. And it
Okay.
became noticed, and I was promoted to being a trainer. I started doing MLS classes, but then because I am of Colombian origin and I speak Spanish, I began to have this passion for training in Spanish, creating my own classes in Spanish. Then YouTube and putting classes on YouTube became something that I became passionate about. And then after a good opportunity came with Anywhere Real Estate, I have that option of really not only focusing on a local level, which was with the Realtor Association, but now I get to do it on a national level. And the business, the basics are the same everywhere you go, but each market has its own intricacies, and it also has its own positives, that it just makes this business so beautiful in a national perspective.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And I love that, that's a good life lesson because you do crazy things when you're young. I moved to Charlotte similarly with a husband of a past life. And
Mhm.
that it was just like that. I was 24 years old or something like that. And I was like, oh, well, I think my sister moved here I know my sister moved here first. And I was like, I actually wanted to go to Florida, but
Okay.
my sister was
Door's
here.
still open.
And I was like, all right, I guess, I'll go here or whatever. And yeah, it's crazy. Like when you're young, you sometimes not thinking ahead too much is a gift, right? Because you can just go for stuff and make stuff happen. Because if you stay where you are, like I'm always like, man, if I had stayed in New York all this time just with what was safe, I would have never been able to get out. Because once you have kids and then they're investing in the community, it's just you start thinking too much. So I love that idea. But I love what you do. And it's similar to my marketing business because I
Mhm.
was an active real estate agent. I mean, I'm still licensed. But I'm like you. I really have like that passion for training and seeing the lights come on. And when I'm sure that you got some value of it seeing them grasp onto some sort of technology that was actually going to help them, grow their business, make more money. There's like, I always say, like, instead of closing deals and stuff, that doesn't fill me up. I love helping other agents like win. It's just fun for me.
Yes,
So it
I
sounds
I
similar.
I share that vision with you, and
Mhm.
ultimately, I've gotten to through the Realtor Association. I've been exposed to personally. I haven't done that yet. Luckily,
Right.
I'm doing it through my affiliation with NAREP, but of
Right.
leadership journey, where we can
Right.
make some change, some positive change to the industry. And that also involves some sort of training or some sort of saying, hey, this process is broken. Let's see how we can fix it, or let's see how we can empower people to make it better so that they can improve their lives, improve the
Right.
products and the services that they offer their communities. That to me is key. So
Right. And scale their income. I In a lot of these classes I do around the area with some groups, and I won't even say it's based off of age, because I've had pushback from very young people, even about video and technology and stuff like that. But they're always like, well, if we do too much in the technology world, and I'm curious to know if you've heard this too, like, if you do too much that's technology driven, are you going to kind of phase yourself out as an agent? My
it's
feeling is that agents who use technology will replace agents that don't. But what's your feeling on that?
so there has to be a balance. There has to be a
Yeah.
balance because again, this industry, real estate, it's a relationship business. You need to have relationships with individuals. And unfortunately, you can't have a lasting relationship with chat GPT unless, yes, it does your work, or AI. It helps
Right.
you a lot. It helps you tremendously. But
Mhm.
when it comes to that real connection, you're going to need that human interaction. And
Right.
that's the part that technology will never be able to replace a
Right.
professional. And I have this saying, I might have stolen it from someone. So
Yeah.
my if you're listening to this podcast, my
You
apologies,
s-
but I love it. I think
you saw it on
real estate
Instagram.
yeah, I think real estate is a contact sport. And then you're like, oh,
Right.
fun, contact. Let's hit some people, right? But no, contact as in the more people that you're contacting, the better that you will be, the better off that
Yeah.
you will have those conversations. And
Right.
you're going to really elevate your business to the next level.
Right. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And that's something that technology can't do for you. You can have these things texting here and there, but I've not found a technology that understands the nuances of like a human being, right? And so,
Yeah.
yes, they're very advanced, and I do think agents should be jumping on the bandwagon here or there with what works for them, but I wouldn't have that fear it's going to replace them. So, um, okay, so what are some of like the do's and don'ts that you see? Since you're around this a lot, what are some of these common threads that stick out with agents and how they are using technology?
So one thing is the acronym SOP,
Yeah,
standard operating procedures. And you're like, oh, that just sounds like rules, and I'm independent contractor and I have full control over my business. But believe it or not, SOP, standard operating procedures, even for the way that you handle your technology, is going to help with automating a lot of the processes down the road. And as you're learning that technology, is going to help you understand it in a practical way, as in, okay, I have technology A, I have access to it. Maybe I don't know every single button or every single tool that's in it, but if I know of a structured and scaled way of using it towards my business, I'm going to find myself using it more often than not. And
right.
I think that's huge because even for users of any level, any experience level, if you know of a way to, in your mind, say, this is how I have this product and this is how I'm going to use it, you will find yourself using it, hands down.
Yeah. And not getting, or even with the chat, I mean, my Instagram, I talk about chat GPT a lot. I do a lot of these ChatGPT classes, and I think you probably have a similar experience probably when you're out, is that I try to tell them, listen, let's just say, for example, ChatGPT, there's thousands of ways you can be using this, but don't sit here and let your eyes glaze over thinking you have to do all of this, because I want you to pick one way this can help you. What's that one pain point in your business, or and then see if you can apply ChatGPT to that. But you don't have to know it all or do it all, and you shouldn't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another part where in the, at least with technology, I found that relationships with other professionals are a must. For instance, you and I, like,
Yeah.
you have a way to approach AI in a way that's easy to understand, and you
Yeah.
set up some actionable ways for any person, independent of the skill level, to implement them into their business. And that's
Right.
where, if you seek out those relationships, maybe in your own office, and there's someone that that's using technology very well, pick their brain. A lot of the times we have this mindset that, oh, here in the business, it's just me, and because I'm independent and it's just me, right?
Right.
But along the way, there have been a lot of individuals that have helped me with tips, with better practices, with even holding me accountable to, okay, I see that you're doing this, but hey, if this helps you, this has helped me. And those little tips have allowed me to grow. And
Yeah.
that's somewhere where, once you take that and you implement it into your technologies, and you implement it in your SOPs and your daily tasks and your daily flows,
Yeah.
technology is going to become an ally for your business.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so good. And it's that principle of like collaboration over competition. I always think that at the end of the day, you're going to go further if you just, it sounds corny, but like, I'm like, when one wins, we all win, right? I've never, now granted, I was in the nonprofit world before this, so I know it's very kumbaya and all that, but
Interesting.
I've never seen like people, and it's not every agent by far, but you see groups of people that like are refuse to help somebody else because they see it as their competition, and they get very
Mhm.
snake like. And I'm like, man, you don't know, like once you help and you're open to that and you just kind of want to see the next person win, you end up growing yourself and getting better. And then down the road, they want to help you with something else. And so this is a hard job, right? We should all kind of be in it together. But that's
Like,
that's also why I wasn't the most successful real estate agent. I'm just like, can we all just get along?
see,
Like,
but in your case, you found your niche, and I know that
yes.
in real estate, that whole term of find your niche.
Yeah.
But it makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, because we all have specific traits where we stand out maybe over others, but there's things that we don't know to do as well as another person. If we have the opportunity to learn from
Right.
others, that's where really not only relationships are going to be made, because that other person can learn from you, but in addition, you're supporting the evolution and the growth of the business in general to better service consumers, which is ultimately
Right.
what we all want.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love that. So when you're out and about too, what are some things that you think are don'ts? Either that they like make you cringe from a technology perspective, or that you're like, man, I wish more agents knew that this one task could be done so much better. Like, what are some of those common don'ts that you see when you're in your training world?
Um, Again, this goes back to the whole idea of having a structure. And
Right.
when you say, okay, I have technology, and technology is here to make my life easier, and that is all you focus on, you're going to have situations where you're like, okay, I have 10 products. Maybe I have a
Mhm.
CRM, maybe I have presentation software, maybe I have this. But if you don't have a structured way of using them, with examples of how to incorporate them into your life, you're not going to use them. And you're just going to say, okay, I have all these products, but if there's no structure, again, if you don't have an actionable way of saying, okay, let's say a new contact, like you get a contact and you have that contact and you're like, okay, I know that I have a CRM, and then I know that I have a notes app, and I know that I have Excel. I have all this technology, great. And you get comfortable and you're like, I have it. But if you don't know how to implement it and you say, well, you know what, I have this contact, I need to figure out a way to get it into the CRM right away. Because if I don't get it into the CRM, other things are going to pop up in life. Other customers are going to come and call me, and I am going to forget about it. And that's where that whole systems process comes into play.
Yeah. And oh man, I love that because it goes to one of my top 5 words, automations, right? Because that to me, when I look out, or like even being in, working as a realtor for a while, that is something that I'm like, man, that is such a missing piece of so many people's business. And not just your beginner agents, like people at a very high level don't have a lot of automations in place. So what happens is just what you said, right? Like you do all the marketing, you do it well, and when it works, that brings you business, right? But what happens is a lot now, all that business, now you're busy and you're running out and doing inspections and you're doing this and doing that. Then they all close. And this is why real estate is like a roller coaster for a lot of people. And all that time you were dealing with all those, the business of real estate, you weren't marketing. And so then you have to kind of like crawl right back out of the hole and, do it all over again. And automations can handle a lot of that for
It can.
you, right?
And they give you back that valuable time.
Yes. Yeah. And money. So like in your mind, or like based on, kind of what you do, what are like some of the simplest user-friendly automations, or like the most important ones that agents should, kind of play with?
Let me give you an example. And I was saying that I'm sorry if I cut you off. My apologies.
No.
But so getting the automations are going to give you back time to really have those conversations with people, because again, relationships need to be made and you need to be out there talking to people, having those conversations. But as far as the automations part, for instance, let's say a CRM, and this is something that I teach in my classes. So maybe you think, okay, a CRM, to put in a contact, I have to log into the CRM. See if your CRM allows you to put in a contact directly from your phone, not even through an app, but maybe just through the phone software. Like if you add a contact to your phone as if you normally would, maybe that contact can get added into the CRM through syncing. And that's less time that you have to spend going application to application. Then once you have that contact in there, we all know about groups, like, right? Groups in email, and we have groups for this, groups for that, groups for this. Set up some groups for the contact list that you have, your sphere of influence. Once you have those groups, imagine being in a situation where if you set up an email campaign and you know that the email content is for a specific group, right? Like maybe it's just something that would be good for buyers, like types of financing that's available, let's just say, and you create a campaign for that. So what's going to happen is that if your CRM supports it, you can set up a campaign that just goes out to that group. But then those brand new customers that are coming in that you're putting into your database, if you simply say this person is a member of this group, imagine having automation that just sends all of those campaigns to that person simply because they're a member of that group. And that is going to take away tons of time of you having to say, okay, brand new contact, I have to send them all of these emails. Right. It just takes time. Right. And that's the beautiful thing of automation.
Or just like reinventing the wheel, or like I say, from a general marketing perspective, right? Once you put that into place, and of course it takes a little time to get in there and set up your segments and all that, but that's what I tell people. Once you have that in place, and yes, it's a little bit of work on the front end, right? But the amount you invest pays off so much more, because now people are getting specific emails. So instead of someone who you maybe met at open house getting all the first time homebuyer perspective, getting all these emails about top whatever ways to keep your home hot in the winter or whatever, like they're like, I don't even own a house, right? So if you can segment those people, your marketing just hits so much better.
Exactly. And you can use the same for if you're a business owner, like let's say you're a broker,
Right.
you're a manager, you can implement those same groups and just have content for your own team. Maybe the education calendar of the week.
Yeah.
So that the agents can find value in onboarding with you. Maybe you can have that education calendar be part of a recruiting email that you're sending people that you feel could onboard with you. So those are just some ideas of how segmenting, as you say, helps. But other examples, and going back to what you do and the things that you teach individuals. So AI can help be that extra support in case that maybe our creative is not flowing that day. Maybe you need to create an email campaign and you're like, what do I talk about now? So let AI give you ideas. I wouldn't recommend just relying solely on AI, just because it is a computer. This is something that I feel that it needs a second set of eyes, and that's where your professional opinion comes and matters. But let that give you some ideas so that you can build content and stay consistent. Stay consistent, because that's another thing that I noticed. You were saying earlier, don'ts. People aren't consistent with like the marketing that they do or using a specific product consistently. And what that does is that, aside from making you rusty, right, with how you're using that technology or how you are sharing your marketing, your message with others, unfortunately, it does cause breaks in maybe the marketability of your brand. Like, okay, this person was posting every week and now it's just like once in a while. I wonder if they're still in business. So that's where that consistency comes into play.
Right. And I think people are that way for two reasons. One is, just like you said, they don't have any SOPs in place to figure out even what the next month, 3 months, 6 months looks like using that technology that they want to use, right? So whatever it is, email marketing, video, whatever. But I think another thing is, and I'll give it to agents, we are being sold left and right with like 1,000 ideas. And I always use this analogy, but it's like when I was growing up, I grew up in New York City. For food, we are regular food. We would just go to a little bodega, right? They were like 2 types of bread, 3 types of bread max, right? And it was like white, wheat, and English muffins or something like that. And like you go to the supermarket and there literally are like 80 types of bread, right? It's honey wheat, whole wheat honey, 7-grain bread. And like, so with agents, and people ask me this all the time, like, well, should I use ChatGPT or should I use a video? And if I'm on video, should I use Instagram or should I use TikTok or should I use Facebook? So what happens is, and I'm sure you've seen this on the technology side, they dabble in 50 things and never do any of them well. I've had this problem because I have squirrel brain and I love marketing. So I want to try a little bit of everything. But even with the Instagram page we met on, it's like, I just decided I'm going to go hard just on that. That's gonna be my primary thing. And until I did that, I didn't see any growth. It was like dead. So yeah, I don't know if you've seen that, but I agree with you on that consistency thing.
I've seen it. I see it all the time. And now you got me hungry for some pan con mantequilla. But hey, you brought it up.
At least you can get there. Fort Lauderdale. Just drive down to Miami. Okay, go ahead.
So,
I'm so jealous.
No, I see that because of how many options are available. And, you know, you may have the options that are available from your all the way down to your local MLS, to maybe the individuals that you're working with, to the things that are offered by your company. So there's a lot of options, but I would say is find the ones that, yes, obviously work for you, but also
Right.
establish those procedures and just say, okay, I know that this product can help me accomplish this, and I have to follow step A, step B, and step C, because if you start learning all of the ones that do the same, you're going to get confused. And it's not
Right.
that people or you or me, I think we all have squirrel brain, but it's just so
Yeah.
many options that they're just going to take us all over the place, and they're going to
Right.
confuse us. And here's the other thing: if you don't know what should those procedures be, obviously there's training, but also pick your peers. If you find that someone is using a product and they're using it well, ask them, how do you on a daily basis implement that? And another tip that I think that it's game changer, and I say, and going back to the CRM, I believe it or
Mhm.
not, I love CRMs, but they're there to
Yeah.
pick a lot of the weight for you with your database.
Yeah.
Set up a time, a regular time in the day, to simply manage your database. Like, I don't know, 30
Yeah.
minutes, an hour, just to log in, focus on the database. And that's that consistency that will pave results down the road.
Right. It's kind of like those, like that book, Atomic Habits. It's just a little bit every day. And in any real estate group, probably the most popular question, besides, what kind of car do you guys drive, is what CRM are you using? Right. And it's so cliche, but it's really like the CRM that you are going to use is the one you should be using. Right. So there's a million options out there. I've tried them all: Chime, KV Core, and Lion's Desk. And like, there's so many. But in reality, if you're not consistent, just like you said, you're going to find like none of them work for you, because they need you to do the work. You got to get in there and do your thing with it. So, okay. I love that. So, I know, you talk about going back to basics, and I know we hear this in the real estate industry, right? What are some ways that agents can go back to basics, but kind of with using technology as that foundation, or kind
Yeah.
of improving those basics with technology?
Great question, because earlier I mentioned email campaigns, and
Yeah.
I feel that email is a basic that I feel that it's underutilized, especially now in the time frame that we're in, where video is king. Yes,
Right.
video is king. That's a good way that you're going to meet a lot of your clientele. But
Thank you
email,
for saying that.
yeah, that's how we met.
Um,
There you go. And that's
Preach
what
it
we're
every
doing right
day.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Hello. It works.
But emails will provide an avenue that, once the automation is set in place, it's going to be a set it and forget it. Like the guy that used to sell those rotisseries back in the day, set it
Right.
and forget it. Yeah, it's true. You set it and
Yes.
forget it. And email is still a way that brings a lot of value to people with the content. Yes, there's individuals that still read email. You may say, oh, people don't have time for that. No, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that my daily habits. I get emails in the morning. I read the emails. I keep up with news through email. I don't even go to news outlets. I just go
Right.
through an email that is sent to me with the recaps of the emails for
The
the day.
news.
And
Yeah.
that's how you're going to leverage that education to the consumer. That's how you're going to be relevant in their lives, because the automation is going to help you send emails of not only news. Remember, this is again a relationship business. If you simply send out an email on their birthday, you don't know if that might make the difference for that person, that you took out time of your life to simply say to that individual, happy birthday, or
Right.
happy 4th of July, or whatever holiday that is.
In
Email,
a
I think.
personal way too, and not like, happy birthday. Do you know anyone who wants to buy, sell, or invest? Like, like it's
Exactly.
such a thing. Technology is so good, but technology should advance the way you communicate people and make it personal, because we get happy July 4th or happy birthday emails from 1,000 people, right? But if it's from a friend or a brand that acts as a friend or acts as a person, it's that much more memorable.
Exactly.
Right.
And little by little, you're becoming relevant in that person's mindset. And I have this story to tell you that we had in one of my classes. There was an agent that had been in the industry for about 10 years, and they've been leveraging email communications. And ironically, the class that they came into was email marketing, so that they could see if there were any new updates. So this person was experienced. And at the end of the class, I asked, what is something that you got out of this class? So he said, I liked what you shared about this way to insert tables so that you can better organize like the content, right? That's something technical.
Right.
But then he said, going back to something you said as far as relevancy, I had a buyer that I was consistent with sending an email once a week, and I did it for 7 years. This person never answered. But at the end of the 7 years, guess who they called when they were ready to buy? Me. Why? Because I was the only one that stayed in touch. And that's those relationships. Those are those one-on-one things that those are the basics. Those are really the basics. That one-on-one relationship building, having conversations. And if you can leverage technology, even better.
Right. And there's good ways too. Like I have a real estate client who we send out an email for her every week. Really good open rates, really good click-through rates, and almost zero unsubscribe. But no one ever replies back to her about anything. And but it's funny, we missed a week and she got like 3 emails that were like, where's the newsletter? And it's very personable. It's like, what are some events happening this weekend? It's basically a roundup. The events, what happened on our social media, and some real estate stuff at the bottom. So it's really like a value add to their life. The other great thing about email, which we could be here all day, is that you own that. Like you can download your CSV file and all your contacts at any time. And if your social media, like when I teach these classes, I tell people like, what would happen today if your social media accounts got hacked, disappeared? I would have to be taken to the ER because I'm like, I killed myself and all this stuff. But I make my business to try to get as many of my people from Instagram off to my email list. So you own it, and it's that was my microphone. You own it. Oh, that's good.
I can't hear you that well now.
Are you getting like? I feel like I'm getting feedback. I'll edit out.
There you
this
go.
part. Are you getting your feedback? Okay, perfect. So wait, are you getting feedback, or is it just me? Oh, okay, good. All right, it's just me. Okay, so let's talk about NAREP. And if you're listening in and you don't know, it's the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I'm on the board of my local chapter. Ivan works with them in their Fort Lauderdale. Is it Fort Lauderdale?
It's NAREP West Broward. NAREP West Broward is my chapter.
Broward. Okay, so this organization kind of seeks to create and sustain Hispanic homeownership across the country. So Ivan and I are both super passionate about it. But tell us a little bit about like what do you do with them and why did you become a part of that organization?
Yes, so NAREP was something that began last year. It was my first year of involvement, and before I was servicing NAREP in an indirect role before I was a member of Anywhere Real Estate, because I was working for the local Realtor Association. The Realtor Association was a sponsor of NAREP, and it was a conflict of interest for me to be, as an employee, be involved in NAREP as a volunteer, right, as sponsors. But once I left that, I had the opportunity to really go in as a volunteer, and it has made me appreciate the business so much more. In what terms? So in the terms of obviously making the environment for real estate professionals better by focusing on their growth, whether that's through networking opportunities, which is important because a lot of the times I've heard it, oh, it's a networking event, it's just time to say hi and maybe, eat some food. And no, but when you really hit it off with someone and they can be an asset to your business, it's going to help expedite a lot of those tasks that you may have to, at the end, give to your buyers and sellers that great experience. Because you might be, oh yeah, I remember someone that I met at NAREP. Hey, let me see if they can help. And because you hit it off on a one-on-one through a volunteer situation, I don't know. I found it that it's much easier to relate to that individual. So that has helped out a lot. But then your personal growth, because you're investing your own time. It's really your own time. When you're given opportunities to, hey, set up. So I started with marketing. That was I was in the marketing committee. How are we going to help increase the chapter's exposure? So you're then tasked to come up with creative ways to increase the chapter's exposure, right? But then you could take what you've learned with working with the committee and put it into practice for your own business. So that's something that I learned with the chapter. Like one of the things that we were doing last year that we were just experimenting with, and it was very successful, is doing stories on WhatsApp. We started thinking, hey, let's set up a story, let's link it to WhatsApp, and let's let our own sphere of influence know that we have this event coming up. And a lot of the times people would see those stories and you would get messages saying, oh, you're running an education event? Okay, what is NAREP about? And then you would communicate with people. And those perspectives, I got from just volunteering and sharing ideas with people that had the same objective. This year, I'm going to be in education. That's the committee that I'm in. And now the role is going to be, yes, set up the educational content for the year for the events that we're going to prepare, but it's also going to involve seeing which speakers we want that align with our values for the chapter. So that's going to give me exposure to meeting other individuals, that can help me personally grow, because if I am selecting them to be a speaker for an event, they better have some experience. And through that experience, I can learn, and I can make sure that the experience that they provide is going to be valuable for the members and for anyone that is in real estate that chooses to come and join us and affiliate with NAREP. So it's just
for their communities.
And
for the community at large, of course the Latino community, but all of these, just because Latina agents, they don't only serve Latinos, you know what I mean? But so builds up your community anywhere. But
and good thing that you brought that up, because so NAREP has also exposed me to the Hispanic wealth building project. And this is something that has really showed, at least me, how the Latino demographic has increased not only median income, but also the business the influence of the business that they're bringing to the mainstream economy. That's why there's events now like Latitude that exists, because Latinos really are a force to be reckoned with. And through this experience with NAREP, I'm learning to better cater to also that community, and how that community, and through its example, can empower other communities to grow as well, not just Latinos, and how we can scale, whether it's education or marketing or resources, to better serve all of the communities that really make the United States of America. It's a big plethora of communities.
Right.
Everyone at some point or another needs real estate, right? Because keep in mind, shelter, basic need, shelter, right? That's where real estate comes in. So how can we learn from things like NAREP and the Hispanic Wealth Building Project and other things that apply to other communities, and how we can make the business better for everyone to really, really take advantage of what it brings to the communities and how to better serve.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is at your NowRep chapter, but ours, we actually partner with other organizations that are similar. Like in our area, we have one called ARIA, where it's the Asian American real estate, whatever. And then, you know, we have other like minority serving ones. And I love how we all partner together because we all have this common goal. And we have sponsors and speakers that are not Latinos, but they are just as passionate about seeing this growth in the Latino community or among previously, I guess, underserved communities. But I'm with you. I love the wealth building aspect because I mean, I personally didn't grow up with wealth at all, but my grandmother, she came here from, well, she came to New York from Puerto Rico, and I don't know how she did it because she had 8 kids, right? And like obviously she didn't work. Her husband was like, I don't know what he did. But anyway, somehow they were piece their money together to buy a 4-family apartment in Queens, right? And that thing, let me tell you, Ivan, I grew up there. I lived in 3 out of 4 apartments there. We had cockroaches, we had mice, whatever. But she called that her palace, and it served all different parts, all different people in the family when they fell on hard times. And so real estate for her wasn't so much an investment vehicle, although when she passed away, she was able to leave some money to each of her children, which is hard to do with 8 kids. But for her, she had grown up as an orphan. And so for her to be able to have somewhere solid to give her family, and that her mortgage was so low by that point, she was able to do it. That was like the beauty in real estate, especially in Hispanic communities where we're heavy on the family, right? And so uh, I love that aspect of NAREP. Like, hey, this is possible,
Yeah,
and this is
personal
what you
growth.
can do. Yes, these are Latinos in places of power and influence, none of which I ever saw growing up. Anyway, so I
They
love
do
it.
have this saying, the sky's the limit, right? But I say,
Yeah.
well, the sky is only as high as you set it. And if
Yes.
you also invest in those opportunities, you put yourself out there and you really embrace opportunities for change, and
Right.
even doing these things, like things on a volunteer basis, because they really help you grow in your leadership journey in
Yeah.
this industry, which is
Right.
at the end of the day is what's gonna make change, lasting change to the whole industry and the communities.
Right, right. It's a great organization. So look them up. Look up your local chapter if you're interested. It's NAHREP.org. Obviously, you're West Broward. Join Ivan. If you're in Charlotte, hit me up. Our gal,
And
both of us have gals coming up.
rfwestpower.org.
Yes, and now we're at charlotte.org. There we go. That's our pitch for the day. You're welcome, Gary Acosta. Okay. Real
And
quick
Armando.
yeah, exactly. Before we end, tell us a little bit. I know you are a pilot or you have your pilot's license. So what the heck? What made you do that? How do you use it?
So before getting involved in real estate, I wanted to be a pilot, like an airline pilot.
Yeah.
Some things came along the way in my life, so real estate became my focus, and it is my focus now. But I when I'm flying, so because I like to teach, that is
Yeah.
something that I'm envisioning myself doing relatively soon, which is to teach others how to fly.
Oh, that's so
Being
cool.
in the skies is just undescribable, especially when you are in zero visibility, which is when what I love the most. Yes, it's beautiful to see everything, but really the skills of a pilot come to life when you are inside a cloud, because you're relying on instruments, you're relying on air traffic control, you're relying on others to get you down safely, and everyone works, and that's how you could see the cohesiveness of the whole industry, how it works so well together, that ultimately
Right.
the end result is they want to put everyone down safely on a runway. And it's a beautiful system, seeing how everything works. And no, I'm just grateful, and once in a while I do go flying, not
Yeah.
as much as I would want to, but it's
Right.
in the works to be an instructor relatively soon.
That would be so cool. Zero visibility. That sounds actually terrifying, but I love how romantic you made it sound. But I don't even like being on a plane with zero visibility. I'm like, how is this guy gonna get me where I need to go? It's
I'll
so
tell you
scary.
what, sunrises and sunsets in the plane are also beautiful. So there's always fair weather. It's not always foul
Right.
weather. There's always fair weather, and it's beautiful to see
Ex-
the
The
whole
first time
experience.
I saw I had to go to Estonia random for my last job. So random. But anyway, I had to fly from like here to Sweden first, or New York to Sweden. And I don't remember if I saw sunrise or sunset, but I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like even from the window, how amazing it looked. Oh my gosh. So cool. That's gotta be a cool hobby. Okay. So last question, but where do you kind of see yourself in 10 years from now?
So I either want to head a division or have something to do with the real estate school.
Yeah.
I really enjoy teaching others. I really enjoy helping others elevate their business and their careers to their max potential. And whether it's through technology, whether it's through productivity training, whether it's through maybe that day, hey, don't worry, it's the end of the month. Maybe you don't have any deals, but don't worry that if you plant some seeds now, they will eventually grow, and they might grow next
Right.
month. But you just have to
Right.
keep planting. So those
Yeah.
are the things that I see myself doing. Just now as an instructor, I get that one-on-one with my students, but I do see myself heading a full division of a real estate school or a company and being head of that education division, or having my own real estate school. We'll see. 10 years.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, I
it's
can see that.
it's a time frame from now, but that's where my focus is. So.
Oh, I could see that. I actually love that idea. I think we share that passion. So that is cool. All right. So
We can do
go
our own.
ahead.
We can do business partners, maybe.
Let's come on. Then I'll have to move down to Fort Lauderdale. It'll be the best day of my life. I can't wait.
And you want to? Hey,
I can't wait. Random Fort Lauderdale thing that no one else is going to find relevant except for me. But have you been on the Jungle Queen cruise or Jungle River? No, it's Jungle Queen cruise from Fort Lauderdale.
Believe it or not, I haven't. I've seen it. I've seen it from the 17th Street Bridge, which is one of the ways that it departs from, but I've never been in it.
You have to go. We went a couple of years ago, and let me tell you, I had
I
at
need to
that
get out
time,
more.
yeah, well, it's like when I lived in New York, I like never went to all the cool spots, but I was pleasantly surprised, right? Because I know you have kids. My kids were like maybe 16, 14, and like 4 at the time, right? And finding any activity that everybody likes is a nightmare. So that thing, it was actually for my 40th birthday, and we went, and it takes you have like their rum punch on there. Just have one, okay? It's really strong. And then they take you to this like their own little island, and they have like just like a barbecue dinner, whatever. The food wasn't great, but it was the experience. But then they have like basically this variety show with flamethrowers, comedians, and every single one was so good. Like I could not believe, I was so pleasantly surprised, and every single person in my family had fun, and we still talk about it. And I couldn't believe like
That's what I've
it
that's
just
what
seemed
I've
too good to
heard.
be true.
It sounds
Yes.
like it sounds like a weekend in the box, but only in 2
Yes.
hours.
Yes, in 2 hours. That's what it was. It was like you felt like you got away to this island. You got the show. You headed back. You had more punch on the way back. But yeah, since you're so close, you gotta get the kids on there one weekend. It's or any random day of the week for you.
I'll
But
take the tip. Thank
yeah.
you.
Random Fort Lauderdale tip. Okay. So follow Ivan, his handles. He is everywhere. So wherever you need to find him. Facebook, and we're gonna link all this in the comments, but Facebook, it's Ivan.h. Instagram is it's Ivan.h. And on LinkedIn, just find him as it's Ivan H. No dot. if you need some training, if you need some one-on-one, anything you need help when it comes to technology and you're getting your sales better, all that, he is all knowing. So reach out to him and follow him. And anything else I
No,
forgot
Sarah,
on that?
thank you for the opportunity, and I'd love to connect with all of you, as many of you as possible. Again, my goal is to
Right.
demystify technology, and I can give you examples on how to really implement it in your business, in your day to day in real estate. And one thing I will say is, for those of you that maybe at the time, hey, the deals aren't flowing, or maybe business is stagnant, just I have this plant analogy with rain, right? So I always say plant seeds, just keep planting seeds, and make sure that you're watering those seeds. And that's where those conversations are going to come in with your sphere of influence. Send those emails, automate those emails. That's the water that's going to help that seed grow. But then in the meantime, as things are growing so that they can bloom, make sure that you're investing in yourself so that you can increase maybe the size of, I guess, the containers that are going to hold your rainwater. Because
Right.
when all of the success and all of the blessings do come, you want to be prepared for that, and you want to be prepared so that you can scale it for future growth. So it's all
Right.
like a cycle. It's all like a cycle. And don't be discouraged. This business is the best business to be in. You just have to put in the work, and everything, and those blessings and the success is going to come. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Yes. We're going to need a part 2, because we can go on that about like kind of scaling the business or creating more room for your plans and all that stuff. So
Let's do
we'll
it.
have you back. Of
Fun.
course, you have to do some classes. And yep, go ahead and follow him, connect with him, get some technology help from him. And Ivan, thank you a million for coming on. I appreciate you so much.
Sarah, thank you. And it was great. And also keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing some marvelous things out there, helping people
Oh,
and
well.
demystify AI. It's great.
Yes. And I will see you on the gram.
All right. We'll see you. Bye,
All
Sarah.
right.
Thanks.
I'll see
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.